The galaxy was full of mysteries, but none more feared than the place known as the Shattered Veil, a nebula that swallowed entire fleets. A storm of endless light and shadow lived inside it, crushing ships with invisible hands and twisting space itself until even strong vessels broke apart. Every alien navigator knew the name, and every alien navigator feared it. For centuries, no one dared to cross the Shattered Veil. Those who tried never returned. Their signals ended in screams, their ships reduced to dust drifting among the glowing clouds. Legends grew around it. Some said the nebula was alive. Some said ancient weapons from forgotten wars were buried inside, waiting to destroy anyone foolish enough to enter. Whatever the truth, one thing was certain. The Shattered Veil meant death. One day, the impossible happened. The royal ship of the Selari Empire, carrying the twin princesses of the throne, was caught in the heart of the nebula. A mistake in the royal journey placed them in its deadly grip, and now the greatest bloodline of an alien empire was on the edge of destruction. Panic spread through the Selari systems. The emperor's daughters were trapped, and every minute brought them closer to death. The emperor called for rescue. Every allied world was asked to send ships and crews. Rewards were promised. Eternal honor was offered. But no one came. No pilot dared. No alien warrior wanted to face the cursed storm. The nebula had already swallowed countless fleets. What chance would a single rescue mission have? Inside the royal ship, the twin princesses tried to remain strong. But the truth was heavy. Their vessel shook. Energy drained from the core. Systems flickered. The storm outside tore at the shields like claws tearing cloth. They remembered the old pact written in their people's history. When all else is lost, humanity will rise. But they did not believe it could be true. After all, humans were small, new to the stars, and often ignored by the older empires. Far away, on a lonely outpost at the edge of Selari space, one human pilot listened to the desperate call. His name was Captain Elias Ward. He was not from noble blood, not from wealth. He was a soldier once, but now just a wanderer of the stars. Yet when he heard that the twin princesses were trapped, his heart burned with purpose. The other pilots laughed when he announced his decision. A human against the Shattered Veil? They mocked. You will die before you cross the first cloud. Some called him reckless, some called him foolish, but Elias only smiled. He knew something the others did not. For humans, danger was not a wall. It was a door, and behind the door was always a chance. Humanity had grown on a world of storms, fire, and endless struggle. Where others saw death, humans saw a challenge. Elias believed that even the Shattered Veil had a weakness, and he would find it. As he prepared his small ship, whispers spread. Some aliens laughed at the humans' courage. Others shook their heads, but a few old voices remembered the legends. They whispered that this was destiny, that the ancient pact would awaken. The princesses had not been forgotten. The human spirit would answer. Elias climbed into the cockpit of his worn starfighter. His ship was no royal cruiser, no mighty warship. It was old, scratched, and simple, but it carried something no alien vessel did. A human pilot's will. He set his course and stared at the swirling storm of the Shattered Veil. His chest tightened, but his eyes held no fear. Royal Ship Selari, he spoke into the calm. This is Captain Elias Ward, a human pilot. I heard your call. Hold fast. I am coming for you. On the royal ship, the twin princesses gasped. The voice was human, clear, determined. One of them whispered, "The old pact." The other shook her head. "No, he cannot survive. He is only one." But still, hope sparked. The nebula roared as Elias approached. Clouds of fire and lightning twisted into shapes of monsters. The stars vanished behind curtains of smoke. His ship rattled. Alarms screamed. His hands gripped the controls tighter. "This is madness," one alien commander said from the safety of his station, watching the human ship move closer. But madness was what humans turned into miracles. The nebula opened like a mouth waiting to swallow him. The story of the Shattered Veil was about to change. For the first time in centuries, someone dared to enter, and that someone was human. The audience of the galaxy held its breath. Inside the storm, a single fragile ship carried humanity's pride. A single fragile ship carried the hope of two alien princesses. If Elias Ward failed, nothing would remain. But if he succeeded, then the stars themselves would remember the name of humanity. And so, with engines burning and heart unbroken, the human pilot entered the impossible Nebula. The Nebula was not just a storm. It was a living nightmare. Lightning flashed like angry veins across the endless clouds. Colors shifted from deep purple to blinding white. The space around it twisted like a mirror breaking in slow motion. To the Salari, this was a wall of death. To Elias Ward, the human pilot, it was a puzzle waiting to be solved. His ship rattled the moment it touched the edge of the storm. Gravity waves pulled and pushed. Metal groaned as if the vessel itself wanted to turn back. But Elias kept moving forward. His hands were steady, his breath slow. His eyes scanned every flicker of light and shadow, looking not with fear, but with hunger to understand. Other ships came here with charts, maps, and perfect machines, he whispered to himself. But they failed. They tried to control the storm instead of listening to it. Humans had always survived by feeling, by trusting instincts when reason failed. This was not just a test of skill. This was a test of humanity's way of seeing the universe. Behind him, the galaxy mocked. Alien commanders shook their heads, betting how long before the human ship vanished. The Salari Council called it suicide. Even the twin princesses, trapped deep within the storm, whispered doubts. Yet a strange spark of hope refused to die in their hearts. The ship jolted violently. Alarms screamed. Elias cut power to half his systems, something no alien would dare. To them, less power meant less safety. To him, less power meant less noise. He wanted to feel the storm, not fight it. He let the nebula's winds push him, guiding his ship like a leaf on a river. Through the cockpit glass, shapes moved. Clouds formed twisted shadows that looked like beasts with claws, glowing eyes, and endless teeth. Elias felt his pulse quicken, but he did not look away. Fear lies, he said softly. Patterns tell the truth. And there, within the chaos, he saw rhythm, a path that shifted but never vanished. He angled his ship, sliding between violent waves of plasma that would have shredded another vessel. His fighter was old, but light, nimble. It danced where larger ships had broken apart. For the first time in history, the nebula did not consume, it allowed passage. The princesses on the royal ship felt a faint signal touch their systems. One of them rushed to the console, her voice trembling. It is him, the human pilot. He has entered the storm. Her sister clenched her hands. He will not make it. No one does. But her voice lacked conviction. Outside, the storm raged. A bolt of lightning slammed into Elias's wing. Fire streaked across the hull. For a moment his vision blurred. He gritted his teeth, whispered, "Not today," and shut down the damaged wing. Balancing the ship with raw skill, it was reckless, but it worked. Every move pushed him deeper, closer to the royal ship's last coordinates. His comms cracked with static, then cleared. A voice, soft but strong, echoed in his ear. "Human pilot, this is Princess Erin of Salari. You are truly here." Elias smiled, though sweat dripped down his face. "I told you. I am coming. Hold your ground. I will reach you." For a moment, silence filled the channel. Then the other princess spoke, colder, doubtful. "You are one man in one ship. The veil has destroyed thousands. Why should we believe you can save us?" His answer was calm, steady. "Because I am human, and humans do not turn back." The storm howled louder, as if angry at his defiance. His ship spun violently, but Elias forced it back on course. Every second was a battle, yet every second proved him right. Machines alone could not survive here, but instinct, courage, and stubborn will could. Alien commanders who had watched in amusement grew silent. They saw the impossible, a human ship lasting longer than any alien vessel, moving deeper than any chart had ever marked. For the first time, doubt flickered in their disbelief. Elias reached a zone of eerie calm. The nebula's heart pulsed around him, like the inside of a giant beast. In that silence, he saw it, the faint glow of the royal ship, battered, shields failing, drifting like a broken jewel in the dark. His chest tightened. He had found them. "Princesses," he called, his voice firm. "I see you. You are not alone anymore." Inside the royal vessel, hope burst like light after endless night. One sister covered her mouth, tears shining in her alien eyes. The other clenched her jaw, whispering, "The Pact, the humans have come." But the storm was not finished around Elias. The calm shattered. The nebula roared with fury, hurling blades of energy toward both ships. It wanted to keep its prey. It wanted to bury the story of the human before it began. Elias leaned forward, hands steady, eyes unblinking, his voice a whisper. Then fight me, storm, but I will not leave them. And with that, the battle between man and the impossible truly began. The nebula was alive with rage, as if it knew a human had dared to enter. Great waves of energy slammed against Elias Ward's ship, twisting metal, shaking systems. The lights inside flickered, the controls fought back, yet his hands never left the wheel. Behind the swirling storm, patterns moved. To alien eyes they looked random, chaotic, meaningless. But to Elias, they spoke. He saw how the lightning bent in the same rhythm, how the gravity waves came in a cycle. The storm was not mindless. It had rules, and rules could be broken. Inside the royal ship, the twin princesses clung to their failing systems. Their shields were almost gone. The younger sister, Erin, pressed her palm against the console, whispering, "He is still coming. I can feel him." Her twin, Sarai, shook her head. "He will be torn apart, like the others." Yet even as she spoke, her voice trembled. Elias's ship slid between collapsing space, moving like a dancer between falling blades. Alarms screamed louder, warning him of destruction. He ignored them. Machines trusted numbers, but humans trusted instinct. He had learned long ago that the mind could lie, but the heart never did. He spoke softly, though no one could hear. "You are not chaos. You are a test, and I will pass." A sudden shadow loomed before him, a massive fragment of rock, glowing with plasma, spun in the storm like a blade. No chart had shown it. No warning had predicted it. Elias twisted his ship, engines burning, metal groaned, sparks flew, but he slipped past with inches to spare. His laughter echoed in the cockpit, rough and fierce. "You almost had me." On the Cellari homeworld, alien leaders stared at their screens in silence. What they saw defied everything they believed. The human had lasted where fleets had died. He was not just surviving. He was learning. Back in the storm, Elias's ship picked up a faint echo, the royal vessel's distress beacon. Weak but alive, his chest tightened with relief. "Hold on, princesses, I am close." In the royal ship, Erin's eyes widened as her console lit with a human signal. "He found us," she cried. Sarai turned to her. Disbelief etched across her face. One man in one ship, and yet he comes. The nebula grew darker, as if angry at their hope. Lightning wrapped around the human vessel, striking again and again. Shields flickered, metal burned, but Elias pressed forward. Every strike that tried to end him only sharpened his focus. He remembered his past, the battles he had fought, the times he had been told humans could not survive the deep void. Each time they had been wrong. Humanity had always risen, not because of strength, but because of will. He whispered to the storm, "You will not break me." Suddenly the ship jerked, instruments flashing red. He had entered the nebula's heart. Here the rules shifted again. Space twisted until forward and backward became meaningless. Up and down turned inside out. To aliens, this was madness. To Elias, this was a challenge. He cut his engines, letting the storm pull him. He closed his eyes for a moment, feeling the movements. His instincts told him where the currents flowed. He angled his ship, riding the chaos like a surfer on violent waves. Slowly, impossibly, he gained control. The princesses felt the change. Their ship, which had been spinning without direction, suddenly steadied. A voice broke through the static of their comms, strong and clear. "Princesses of Cellari, this is Elias Ward. I see your ship. I will reach you." Erin's heart leapt, her eyes shining. "He is here, Sarai, truly here." Sarai's hands tightened, doubt still in her, but hope stronger now than fear. The nebula howled again, hurling storms at the human. A wall of plasma rose, glowing like a burning ocean. To pass through meant certain death. Elias's fingers tightened on the controls. His ship screamed under the strain. "If this is your wall," he muttered, "then I will break it." With one final burst of engine fire, he plunged through. Fire lit his hull, alarms shrieked. For a breathless moment, the ship vanished in the blaze. Inside the royal vessel, The princesses cried out, thinking all was lost. Then, silence, and from the flames emerged the human fighter, battered, smoking, but alive. Gasps echoed across Cellari command centers. Shock rippled through every watching alien. A human had survived what no empire could. Elias's voice came through the calm once more, calm despite the chaos. Princesses, prepare yourselves. This nebula will not let you go easily, but I will not leave without you. Aaron whispered, almost in awe. The old pact was true. Sarai, for the first time, bowed her head. Perhaps humanity is what the legends said. And as the storm raged around them, the impossible rescue drew closer. The royal ship groaned like a wounded beast. Its hull was cracked, lights dimmed, and systems flickered as the storm clawed at it. Inside, the twin princesses sat in silence, the weight of doom pressing on them. Erin, the younger, pressed her forehead against the cold glass of the viewing deck. Beyond it, only fire and smoke churned in endless chaos. No one is coming, she whispered. We are already ghosts in the storm. Sarai, the elder, stood tall though her hands trembled at her sides. We are not ghosts, she said firmly. We are Cellari, daughters of the Emperor. If we die with honor. Yet even her strong voice could not hide the fear in her eyes. A sudden vibration shook the ship, a faint signal breaking through the static. Both sisters turned sharply, hope sparking and dying in the same heartbeat. Then a voice came, steady and calm, filled with unshakable will. Princesses, this is Elias Ward, human pilot. I have reached you. For a moment, silence swallowed the room. The sisters stared at one another, hearts pounding. Erin gasped, her voice trembling. The human. He truly came. Sarai's lips tightened, doubt fighting with wonder. One man cannot defy the veil. It is a trap, but her voice wavered. Elias's signal grew stronger. Your vessel is breaking apart. You cannot hold much longer. I will guide you out, but you must trust me. Erin leaned closer to the console, hope blazing in her eyes. Yes, we trust. But Sarai stepped forward, her tone sharp. Why should we? Human, do you know how many fleets have vanished here? Do you think your fragile body and small craft can succeed where our empires failed? Elias's reply was calm, unwavering. Because I am human, and humans do not turn back. Your ancestors knew this. That is why they made the pact with us long ago. You called for help, and I answered. The princesses froze. The words struck like lightning. The pact was a legend told in whispers, a promise made when humans first rose among the stars. When the darkness closes and no ally dares, the humans will come. Their ancestors had believed it, but Sarai had dismissed it as myth. Now that myth spoke to her across the storm. Outside, Elias's ship drifted closer, battered, smoking, but alive. The nebula lashed out, striking again and again. It wanted to keep the royal vessel trapped forever. Elias adjusted his course, pushing against currents that twisted space itself. His ship rattled, but never yielded. Inside the royal vessel, the air grew colder as systems failed. Erin touched her sister's hand. He came for us, Sarai. He came when no one else would. Sarai's jaw tightened, pride warring with fear. If he falls, our last hope dies with him. The calm crackled once more, Elias's voice carrying a strange warmth even in the chaos. Princesses, listen carefully. The nebula shifts in patterns. I can see the way out, but your ship cannot follow unless I guide you. I need one of you at the controls. The other must prepare to stabilize your failing core. Without it, the storm will crush us all. The sisters looked at one another. Erin stepped forward quickly. I will stand with him. Sarai hesitated, then nodded slowly. Then I will hold the core, for if we are to die, I will die fighting beside my blood. As they prepared, the ancient words whispered in their minds. Legends of humans with iron hearts who stood against storms when others fled. Could it be true? Could this lone pilot be the proof? The nebula roared louder, sensing resistance. Walls of fire closed in around both vessels. The storm wanted to end this defiance. Elias gritted his teeth, sweat dripping down his face. Stay with me. Princesses, together we can do what no empire could. In that moment, for the first time in centuries, the pact was alive. Not as story, not as myth, but as living truth, humanity, and royalty, bound together against the impossible. Aaron's voice broke the silence, strong and clear. "We are with you, human pilot, lead us through the storm." Sarai closed her eyes, her hands on the failing core, whispering a prayer, not to gods, but to courage. "If you are truly human, then show us the power your kind claims." Elias smiled grimly, his hands steady on the controls. "Then hold tight, princesses, because the storm has not seen the heart of humanity yet." And with that, the final battle for survival began. Elias Ward's fighter crept through the glowing chaos, his hull scorched, engines screaming. Yet still he pressed forward. The royal ship of Selari floated ahead, broken and bleeding light into the storm. Its shields flickered weakly, one final barrier between life and death. Inside the vessel, Aaron and Sarai felt the jolt of his arrival. Their scanners showed his small ship latching onto their airlock. The princesses looked at each other, neither speaking, but their eyes carried the same truth. Help had come, but the storm would not let them leave easily. The lock opened, and Elias stepped inside. His flight suit was torn from burns, his face lined with exhaustion, yet his eyes burned with determination. The princesses gasped. They had seen humans before in courts and meetings, but never like this. Never one who carried fire in his gaze as if the nebula itself had failed to break him. Aaron whispered, almost breathless, "You came through the storm." Elias nodded, his voice calm but urgent, "And I will bring you out. But we have little time. Your ship cannot last much longer. We must move now." Sarai folded her arms, proud but wary. "How? Human, our ship is too heavy. The nebula will crush us before we escape." Elias smiled faintly, a dangerous kind of smile. "That is why we will not fight the storm. We will ride it." The sisters froze. They had heard alien pilots speak of resisting the nebula, controlling it, escaping it, but none had spoken of surrendering to it. It sounded like madness, yet there was something in his voice, something that made even Sarai hesitate. Outside, the nebula howled, lightning tearing across the void. Gravity waves crushed against the royal ship. Elias strode to the main console, his fingers moving across controls that were alien yet familiar. He had spent years studying dozens of ships. He believed he could fly almost anything. "Princess Aaron," he said, glancing at her, "stand with me at the helm. You will follow my commands exactly. Your instincts will tell you to resist the pull. Ignore them. Trust mine instead." Aaron stepped forward without hesitation, her hands brushing the controls. Her heart pounded, but her voice was steady. "I will." "Princess Sarai," Elias continued, "your task is harder. You must keep your course stable. If it collapses, we all die." Sarai's eyes narrowed. Her pride stung at being ordered by a human, yet the weight of her people pressed on her shoulders. She gave a sharp nod. "Then I will hold the heart of my ship, no matter the cost." The three of them moved in unison, Elias guiding, Aaron matching him, Sarai holding the core together as the storm struck harder. The royal ship lurched violently as Elias powered down half its shields, a decision that made the princesses cry out. "You are killing us," Sarai shouted, but Elias's voice cut through, calm and unshaken. "No, I am making us invisible. The storm hunts energy, not silence. Trust me." The lights dimmed, the ship trembled. Outside, the nebula swirled angrily, searching. The vessel slipped deeper into its current, flowing like driftwood in a raging river. For the first time, the nebula did not crush, it carried. Aaron's eyes widened as she realized. "You are not fighting it," Elias nodded. "No storm can be beaten head-on. You must learn its rhythm, and then let it think it owns you. That is when you take control." The royal ship slid forward, battered but alive. Every second was a gamble. One wrong move, and they would be swallowed whole. Sarai's hands burned as the core shook violently, sparks flying around her. Her teeth clenched as she whispered, "Not yet. Not while he is still fighting." Then the nebula struck back. A massive surge of plasma ripped across the path. Elias's eyes narrowed. "Brace yourselves," he commanded. He pulled the ship into a dive, twisting through currents no alien chart had ever mapped. The vessel screamed, metal tearing. Aaron's hands slipped, but Elias caught them, steadying her grip. "You are not alone," he said, his voice low but strong. and together they forced the ship through the fire. When they broke through, the royal ship emerged scarred but still intact. Behind them the storm roared louder. Furious that its prey had not been claimed, Elias's calm flickered with warnings. The nebula is not done. It will throw everything at us now. But listen well. There is still a path out, and I will see you through it. Erin's heart filled with awe. Her people had always looked down on humans, calling them reckless children of the stars. Yet this one man had done what empires could not. Sarai, too, felt her pride shake. For the first time, she bowed her head slightly toward him, though her voice remained firm. Then lead us, human, and may your courage not fail, for if it does, we will all die together. Elias looked at them both, his jaw set. Then let us live together instead. And with those words, the royal ship turned deeper into the storm, carried by a human's impossible plan. The shattered veil was not finished. The nebula had tasted defiance, and it would not let its prey escape so easily. Waves of plasma arose like burning oceans. Gravity tore at the royal ship as if unseen claws tried to rip it apart. The storm screamed with fury, a sound that was felt in the bones rather than heard with the ears. Inside the ship, Elias Ward stood at the helm, Erin by his side, Sarai locked at the core chamber. All three moved as if bound by a single thread. The human guided. The younger princess followed. The elder princess fought to keep their heart alive. The ship was no longer alien or human. It had become a creature of willpower and courage. Another surge incoming. Elias called out, his voice steady though alarms howled around them. Erin's hands flew across the controls, sweat dripping down her forehead. She matched his every move. I see it. Adjusting course, she replied. The ship rolled hard, skimming past a wave of molten fire that would have melted its hull in seconds. Sparks exploded across the cockpit. Elias's jaw tightened. Good. You are learning. Trust the storm's rhythm, not your fear. In the core chamber, Sarai's world was chaos. The great crystal heart of the ship trembled, cracks spidering across its surface. Energy leaked like blood, threatening to tear them apart. She pressed her palms against it, forcing her will into the failing core, her voice a low whisper. Not yet. Not while we still fight. The nebula grew crueler. It sent shadows, vast shapes with glowing eyes, drifting through the storm. Some looked like beasts, others like endless arms reaching to snatch the ship. They were illusions, but deadly ones, for many pilots had gone mad trying to escape them. Erin gasped, fear freezing her. What are those? Elias's voice cut through the terror. Ignore them. They are lies. The storm feeds on fear. Keep your eyes on the path. The truth is in the patterns, not the shadows. Guided by his words, Erin focused on the flickers of light, the waves of movement. Slowly, she began to see what he saw. The hidden rhythm within the madness. Her fear turned to fire. I see it too, she whispered. The ship shot forward, weaving between collapsing walls of lightning. Each second was a miracle. Each second felt like the last. Suddenly the storm struck with all its fury. A gravity wave slammed into them, tearing one of the ship's wings away. The vessel spun wildly, metal screaming. Erin cried out as the controls slipped from her hands. Elias grabbed them, his muscles straining. Hold steady, he shouted. We are not finished. Sarai screamed as the core flared violently, threatening to explode. She threw herself against the console, burning her hands as she forced energy back into balance. Her voice was raw. If this fails, we all die. Elias's eyes narrowed, his voice calm even in chaos. Then it will not fail, because none of us will allow it. Together they pulled the ship from the spiral, battered but alive. The nebula shrieked like a living beast denied its prey. Outside, a narrow tunnel of light opened, small and shifting, barely wide enough for a single vessel. Elias saw it, his heart pounded. That is the exit, but it will not stay open long. Erin's breath caught. It's too small, we cannot make it. Sarai's voice came through the calm, fierce despite the fire around her. Then we must make it. There is no other choice. Elias's grin was sharp, reckless, the grin of a man who had walked with death before. Good. That is the spirit. Princesses, hold tight. The royal ship surged forward, the nebula closing its jaws around them. Fire, lightning, and shadows all converged. The exit flickered, vanishing and reappearing. The ship's hull cracked. Systems failed one by one, but still they moved. At the very edge, the storm struck again, stronger than ever. The tunnel began to collapse. Elias pushed the engines to their final limit. His ship screamed. The controls burned his hands. Aaron cried out, "We will be crushed." Elias's voice thundered, filled with defiance. "Not today." And with that, the royal ship plunged into the collapsing tunnel. Fire consumed the view. Light exploded in every direction. For a heartbeat, nothing existed but chaos and pain. Then, silence. The storm was behind them. They had broken free, but the ship was broken, systems failing, drifting in the void. Elias slumped in his seat, breathing hard. Aaron stared at him, her eyes wide with awe and tears. "You did it. You brought us out." Sarai's voice came weakly from the core chamber. "No, not yet. The core is collapsing. If it fails now, the ship will still be lost." Elias looked at the princesses, his eyes fierce. "Then one last fight remains." And so the escape was not yet victory, but a new battle waiting to begin. The void outside was calm, but inside the royal ship chaos still raged. The Nebula had been left behind, yet the battle was not over. The core of the ship cracked like a dying heart, its light pulsing wildly, threatening to tear the vessel apart from within. Sarai's hands shook as she tried to hold the energy flow. Sparks burned her skin. Systems screamed. "It is too much," she gasped. "The core will collapse." Elias staggered forward, his body bruised, his breath shallow, yet his eyes remained fierce. "No, we did not come this far to die here." He dropped beside her, placing his human hands on controls built for alien royalty. The console resisted him, not made for his kind, but he forced it to obey. Aaron rushed to their side, her face pale but determined. "What can I do?" Elias looked at her, his voice steady though exhaustion weighed on him. "You give me your trust, and together we hold this ship alive." The three of them moved as one, Sarai forcing energy back into balance, Aaron linking her will with the controls, Elias guiding both with stubborn human instinct. The ship shook violently. Metal screamed, panels exploded, but slowly the wild pulse of the core began to steady. Elias felt his strength fading, his vision blurred, his arms trembled. He whispered through clenched teeth, "Come on, hold, just a little more." Sarai glanced at him, sweat streaming down her face, and for the first time her proud voice softened. "You fight like no other being I have known." Aaron's eyes filled with tears. "He fights like a human," she said quietly, and in her voice was awe. With one final surge, the core stabilized. The ship fell silent, drifting but alive. In that silence, the three of them breathed together, exhausted but victorious. Outside, fleets had gathered, Cellari warships and distant allies who had watched but never entered the nebula. They had expected to see wreckage. Instead, they saw the impossible. The royal ship emerging, scarred yet shining, guided by a single human vessel. Gasps echoed across comms. Disbelief turned to awe. Messages filled the channels. "It cannot be. A human did this." The impossible storm, defeated by one man. In the grand hall of the Cellari homeworld, leaders and commanders stood in silence as the transmission played, the twin princesses alive, standing tall, and beside them, a human pilot scarred but unbroken. Aaron stepped forward, her voice clear and strong. "This man is Elias Ward, a human pilot. Where empires turned away, he entered the storm. Where fleets were broken, he stood alone. Because of him, the daughters of Cellari live." Sarai, the proud elder, bowed her head at last, her voice heavy with respect. "Our ancestors made a pact with humanity, a promise that when all hope was gone, they would rise. Today that pact is fulfilled. Humanity has kept its word, and Cellari will never forget." The galaxy listened, stunned. For ages, humans had been treated as lesser, reckless, and unworthy, but now a single act had rewritten their name across the stars. Elias stood quietly, his body weary, but his eyes carried a light stronger than the nebula's storm. He spoke not with pride, but with simple truth. "I did what had to be done, not because I am stronger, not because I am wiser, but because I am human, and humans never turn back." The words echoed across the halls, across the stars, across the hearts of all who heard. Humanity, once doubted, was now honored. Erin placed her hand on her chest, her eyes shining with gratitude. From this day, our bond is not myth, it is truth. Humanity stands with Selari, and Selari stands with humanity. Sarai stepped forward, raising her voice so that all who listened would hear. Elias Ward has earned the eternal honor of our people. Let his name be carved into our history, and let the galaxy know, when the storm rises, humanity rises higher. The fleets thundered with applause. Messages of awe spread from world to world, and in that moment, the galaxy shifted. For all the power of empires, all the glory of fleets, it was a single human heart that had proven greater. As Elias looked at the stars beyond, his lips curved into a tired smile. The storm was behind him. The princesses were safe. The Pact was alive once more, and humanity's story among the stars had only just begun.